So my presentation is on Mythbuster investigation, and I'll be focusing on autism. So we'll be going on to the next slide now. The definition of autism according to the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, IDEA, defines autism as a developmental disability that significantly affects verbal and nonverbal communication and social interaction, which my presentation will be going over how there are certain myths on this certain disability, as people tend to have certain beliefs or stereotypes on different disabilities. The myth I chose to go into more detail with is people with autism cannot form relationships, which I'll present whether if this is true or not. So for the myth description, people with autism cannot form relationships. So that's our myth, and so individuals believe that people with autism tend to be more to themselves since they struggle socially and feel as they are different from everyone else. However, they are capable of having friendships/relationships with others as any other individual that does not have autism. Individuals also believe people with autism show signs of disinterest when around others. At times, they are not used to being around others that may or may not have the disability, which goes along with that struggle of socializing. So now we will go over classifications of identifying if someone has autism, which the three are social emotional reciprocity, taking turns in communication and throughout activities, interacting with others about shared interests. Nonverbal communication, the individual's body language, facial expression, gestures, eye contact, and the last one is maintaining relationships, adapting to behavior, to the expectations of particular context, making friends, and lacking interest. And initiative in approaching peers, as all these classifications show how people with autism struggle with being social and maintaining the relationships and lack interest in making friends. However, it also depends on where the individual is placed, such as the environment that they're in. So now we'll be going over different types of developmental disorders, which autism is a part of a broader group of disorders which is called autism spectrum disorder, which is a developmental disability resulting in and characterized by persistent impairments in social interactions and communications, and stereotyped or repetitive movements including inflexibility in routines or patterns. There is also developmental disability, which is a condition that emerges during the developmental period, typically described as from birth to 18 years of age. However, people just defined it as autism. Now, by knowing the different types of developmental disorders, we can have a better understanding of autism and how individuals develop mentally. So this slide is autism in different environments and how each individual in autism reacts. So 40% of students in a regular classroom environment spend 80% to 100% of their time in that regular classroom, which shows how students with autism want to be surrounded by others in their everyday lives and be in that environment. Students with autism at the start may struggle with adapting to a new environment as they are not used to being out in the world. Individuals may not know how to engage with friends or may be overwhelmed by the idea of new experiences, as new experiences are scary at times, but students with autism have the desire to make new friends even if there is a struggle at first. So now for the social skills for autism, the use of social skills with the individuals with autism with direct and explicit instruction and a teachable moments with practice in realistic settings. Focus on timing and attention, support for enhancing communication and sensory integration, learning behaviors that predict important social outcomes like friendship and happiness, a way to build cognitive and language skills, which having these social skills gives these individuals a better chance on improving with socializing in the real world, which all they need to have is to have these social skills to help them move forward and adapt to the real world. So this latest inclusion for autism, some ways to be more inclusive in the classroom or even outside of the classroom are Learn about the learner from the learner, which gives the educator, anyone who knows the learner, the opportunity to know the needs of the person, which makes things easier. The next one is to teach through fascinations, which means allow for individuals to be fascinated about new things and experiences. Get them talking, which allows individuals the opportunity to gain more confidence by allowing them more time to have a voice for themselves. The next one is support transitions, which this gives the individuals to be less overwhelmed when switching from one thing to another, as they will be prepared when transitioning into something new. Which having some ways to be more inclusive gives the child/individual the opportunity to gain more confidence as they feel supported in the new environment they are in and are more comfortable, which would make them want to create those friendships and bonds with others in the classroom or outside of the classroom. So the myth in question, people with autism cannot form relationships, which it is false, as any individual with autism are fully capable of having a relationship with others, as which it shows as they just need to better adapt to the new environment and gain those social skills that would help them with communicating with others. So this slide is from an individual with autism's perspective, and this is just a introduction to who Chris is. And Chris is an individual with autism who is very welcoming to anyone he meets and always wants to know more about who you are. Chris enjoys sharing his knowledge with others and having conversations about things he enjoys, which showing that individuals with autism enjoy being around others, getting to know them, and gain more perspectives about life in general. So this is my reference page, and yeah, that's pretty much all of my presentation. So thank you guys for listening.